You know what's funny is we're sitting here talking about this stuff. I realize that the actual real answers to all this stuff are so mind-bendingly boring. That's why we joke around in interviews.
What else can I say? Like, that was the first day I got my Mac. I never recorded on the thing, so I heard the first recording, and then that was it. That's how that song in particular came out, and it's just all improvised. And again, it felt kind of good. And instead of going back and trying to make it into a 3-minute bad song, I was like, let's leave it at a short snippet.
But I gotta say, it's growing on me, and I'm not even just...
I will tell you, that's all Wrens music.
That's all what?
That's all Wrens music.
All Wrens...
We are definitely not, we're not the Killers. And we're not like those kind of bands where you're going to like it straight off. That's my feeling, even for people that, even being in the band. I listen to it, it's like, it's different.
No, I don't see, you don't know. Have you talked to anybody that's ever seen you live then? Because that's
he
not...
only talks to me.
That's
I tell him...
This is what you told me to say. Yeah. I thought she was going to say okay.
Look at my face when I do that.
Teleprompter.
So... Let me see.
I'm picking my ear on camera. I'm like,
Good
by
job.
the way, I don't hear so good in this ear anymore.
I think my contact just popped out.
I think my glass eye just shattered when you sung that note.
God.
Oh man.
So if we can talk about some specific songs that I had come across. So Life Stories of the Union.
Oh my God.
It's a great song. No, it's really, really good. It's catchy as hell. It's a great. Somebody put it up on your thing. They put up both that and Brightest New Year, and they're both really catchy. So, but for the life of me, I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you the words to that song. What the hell is that song about?
Oh geez, I can't remember right now, but I will tell you that was like a Secaucus type song. So that kind of is around that record, right? We did those right before Secaucus or during the Secaucus record.
Yeah. We came out right after. Did we give them
right after Silver?
I think it was 95 or something.
Yeah, it was right after Silver. We kind of put out. So who's the poet guy? Sorry to get really boring and cheesy. What's his name?
You stole them from Robert Lowell.
Yeah,
I'm just
Lowell.
telling you right now.
Yeah.
You stole them from Robert Lowell?
Yeah.
For the Union Dead and Life Stories, like his two.
There's two big bands.
The books are actually usually paired together.
Yes,
oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good. Because I can't tell you what any of it says, so I have no...
But you should read Robert Lowell.
Robert Lowell. All right. So there's a hot tip for everybody. You...
Going from picking our ears to Robert Lowell. There you go.
You might want to check out John Berryvid. He's from Minneapolis. And Kenneth Patchen, who died poor. And I'm picking my ear.
I was going to say, is it going to be any of our new records?
Yeah.
So are you, for this new record...
You are the first person that's ever said they like that, just so you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
that doesn't come up.
That
What's so
never
hilarious? You do these things, and there's like a structure here, which is really hilarious. Because as soon as you see an interview, you go into interview watching mode, which means that it could be like watching an important band, or it could be us, or it could be like Conan, or something. And so you assume that everything is like. I don't even remember how that song goes. I can only remember the other one just because I diddled around with it for so long.
Yeah.
Life Stories one. I can't remember how it goes, but I know that I liked it at one time.
The Beast Boy thing that we stole and then we did on Secaucus.
Because we liked it from slowly coming back to me.
Because we
Was
liked
this
it
the
how
90s? That's an example of if you want to get all songwriting, which is that's all we do. Like we don't wear good clothes, but we geek out about songwriting all the time. So
really,
like when you talk about when we talk about like how long we worked on the Meadowlands, and it's 4 years, and because of so much of this stuff depends on physical, real things. So because we don't work on a computer at the time, we had these digital tapes or whatever.
Right.
So if you're working on a song, it would have to stay on the board, have to stay on the table, sometimes for a couple of months at a time. So every single day, do the same song.
Right.
Like not even jumping around the album because you couldn't really afford to put it away.
Right.
So that song. It's one of the ones I'm most happy about. No, not really. It was the most happy with. That tag at the end is the original version of how the chorus used to go.
Yeah.
So when putting the song together, it's one of the few that was actually put together in the basement and made it, like the versions were done actually live, if that makes, as opposed to after the fact and overdubs. So in the arrangement, we took what used to be the original verse, or that's the chorus, I think, and stuck that as the tag at the end. Even though the entire song had completely changed, there's this weird skeleton that still pokes out of the ground. It's like
Happens a lot.
building in New York.
Things seem to be, apparently a tad more stable these days. You guys actually have a record label. There's kids, there's marriage, there's all this stuff. So that things are a bit more stable now. Are the new songs kind of reflecting, more of this? I mean, are we going to hear something kind of different in terms of this new record?
Because you're not going to hear any Rafi stuff. That's for sure.
Please, Charles, please don't do that.
But it's. I think we're in our life, we're always a little bit behind where we are. I mean, I think we kind of where we are at this moment, a little bit of the past, a little bit what we hope, aspire to. I think it's all mixed in. It's never just in all the records. It's never just like a snapshot of that moment.
But the practical end of things, but it's common to to almost all bands, which is that you're doing it around the rest of your life, which is kind of funny because it's. Well, let me correct my own image. You're doing it around family and work and that kind of stuff, and that's like how we made all the other albums. And it's
okay.
So each person finds their own little thing on weekends or after work or whatever, and it's like that's how we made the Metal Ends or whatever. We'd come home from work and we'd make dinner or work out or something. We'd start at like 8 or 9 and do a couple hours or a bunch of hours. A lot of times we'd start till like 10 or 11. And I don't think I went to bed before 1:30 or 2 for like 5 years. Even with the day job.
Also, the inspiration stuff is the easiest. Like you said, you have a lot of photos from South by Southwest. The first part was easy. Now looking back and seeing which ones are good and how that's the hard stuff.
Yeah, that's right. It's also the mundane stuff. That's where it's just work.
Yeah, it really does turn into work. So it's like, oh yeah, the inspiration. So how do you make that still, that inspiration, those songs that are going to last? That's the hard part.
And mixing it into everyday life.
But then we're back to the same thing of like what we were talking about, of like the time we spent in the last few years was trying to set things up, because in a sense it's also a business, which isn't to cheapen it, although I'm a cheaper, but it is a business in that it's like if that's your job, you're trying
so sweet. Thank you.
Thanks. To like try to figure out a way to like almost like a company, like you make widgets and then you try to figure out a way of like you move into a different space, or you buy more equipment, or you streamline stuff. And it's that same kind of stuff, so that we can actually get more quickly from like, hey, I thought of this cool thing, to actually making the cool thing, and not being bogged down by like, crap, we're stuck with, we have horrible drum sounds, which is all through the last record like that. I don't even just mean drum sounds, but all sounds, which it seems, that's what I'm saying, like the real answers are so much more boring than the funny answers. Not that any of our answers are funny,
Gotcha.
but that the reality is, if you get bad drum sounds, then you put on way more guitars, because you're clouding the fact that you have drums that aren't actually musically as effective as they were in the basement.
Right.
So the decisions you made in the basement aren't working on tape anymore. So then you add a lot more backup vocals, or a third section, or
pedals,
that kind of stuff, or pedals.
Right.
That kind of thing. So streamlining that kind of stuff, so you can get from like, hey, I have this great idea from a song, to like actually making a song that works in the way that you actually thought about it relatively quickly without years or decades going by, is the goal.